Thank you, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. In case you don't know, in case you haven't heard, that's Church of Eight Wheels. That's my intro outro. That's hard to say. Try to say that 6 times. My intro outro song. I like to set a tone of fun. You know, when you're learning, it's not always fun. You can feel like it can be stressful, especially if it's academic. And I do try to make these streams like highly academic. I'm trying to teach a professional TA for free. But enough of that. We're here at, pardon me, on my YouTube at Cheds Trading, and I'm trying to teach you classical charting, Japanese candlestick theory. If you're new to my channel, that's what I do. I don't stream all the time. I try to stream about once a week. Just to make sure you know what my thoughts are on the market. These aren't necessarily regular updates. That's what I do at Bitcoin Live. I do the twice a week full market report there. I've been there for 8 years with just a wonderful team, and definitely check us out. But I try to just still make sure you know where I'm at. I'm really highly active on Twitter and of course Big Cheds. I'll put out a lot of academically worded tweets, like a throwback, what's a throwback, and pre-breakout, we'll talk about that, and relative strength, volume, advanced consolidation, what do these things mean? So I like to take the opportunity to come here and to do these streams, here and kind of just explain my thoughts in long form, and then I get to hear from you. We get to talk. I love hearing from you. I love talking to you folks. Looks like the audio is working, which is great. Check out this playlist on my YouTube, the Trading Encyclopedia. There's 3-minute videos, brand new one every day. Hundreds of videos now explaining these academic concepts, long leg doji, and what's a spinning top, how do I draw fibs, Bollinger Band width, and just stuff that's like random you maybe haven't heard of. So if you're someone who really likes to learn, enjoy the Trading Encyclopedia. I definitely want to tell you about BingX. I've worked with them for like 6 or 7 years. A wonderful exchange if you're looking for somewhere to trade. I've had a great experience there. Check it out, fully integrated with TradingView. And they're also now a partner with the F1 team, F1 Formula One racing team, Scuderia, if I'm saying that right, Ferrari. So check that out as well. We're going to cover today pretty much the entire market. Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the top altcoins. I'll go through maybe some of the lesser altcoins, some of the stuff that this guy in the chat, his name is SPX 6900. He says, look into SPX. I would never have guessed. I would have never guessed what you wanted me to look at based on your name. But yeah, we'll take a look at SPX too. And I totally threw myself off track. But we're going to look at all the altcoins, and then kind of whatever you want to look at. Like we can even look at like metals. I'll look at big board stocks for you here. That's kind of bigger difference in Bitcoin Live with all crypto. Here I'll look at like weird random stuff for you too. So take advantage while you're here. You're in the chat. If you're live, it's just great to have you. Big thank you, of course. Leave me a comment, but get your questions ready. What's up, Venerian? Venerian says he's woke up at 3 a.m. To catch my stream. That's dedication, man. I appreciate that, brother. Really do appreciate that. All right, what's up, Chocolate? Good to see you as well. So, hey, Matt, what's up? Matt Gross wants to know about Bitcoin and 99.5. We're going to talk about all those different levels. I'm starting out here on the 4-hour, which is a pretty low time frame, to be honest, the 4-hour. A couple general rules of thumb with classical charting, and, it's like what time frame should I use? And I do have a specific video on that. Of course, in the encyclopedia, but the rule of thumb from classical charting, which is Western TA, is after volatility is when, let me just lay back and relax, and we'll just hang out here. After volatility is when you drop to a lower time frame, and when the price is at a key level, like we're seeing here. Okay, so we're seeing the price now testing this key level. And, what makes it a key level? Well, we can dig into the weekly chart, and we'll do that. But in the daily chart, we just had an ascending triangle reversal breakout, right? And so we normally know, most of you are probably familiar with an ascending triangle, which is normally a continuation pattern. You have an advance, you set a peak, you set a low, you test it again, then you have this higher low, which is reflective of increased buying pressure, more aggressive buyers, more anxious, if you want to use that term, buyers. And so you get this, and then you usually break out, take your measured move, you know, all that good stuff, right? But you can have an ascending triangle reversal. We saw one on Ethereum back, let's just show you an example. We saw one on Ethereum way back in the day. We're the weekly chart. And right there, this is the ascending triangle reversal. These are my scribbles from previous work, but they had an ascending triangle reversal here, you know, 21.50. That's why that's been a major level. But so we actually just had that here in Bitcoin, ascending triangle reversal. And the context of that ascending triangle reversal is after the weekly breakdown, right? It's after, you know, the price lost the SMA 50, right? SMA means, you know, what's the difference? You've heard these terms EMA, you've heard the term SMA. Well, EMA is exponential moving average. And that means the most recent candle gets the most price weighting. So I have the EMA 8, right? Use that for short term. It's very good for short term. I have a video on that, you know, what to use. SMA means equally weighted. And you want to use equally weighted moving averages for longer term. Price action like the 50 and the 200 are very good examples of what you want to use. Here's the 200, which is the trend in classical charting, and the 50. So let's, I'm going to remove all the other moving averages just for a minute to make this point. 34, we'll move the Bollinger Band. Look at the 8. So, you know, we're in the context of having lost the weekly 50, and you can see it pretty well here, having removed, you know, all these other moving averages. We lost the MA50. That's important because it had held, and it's a reflection of a weakening longer-term trend. While it's still, you know, technically an uptrend, right? Price above a rising MA200. It's a weakened trend. It looks to be heading lower, and it's in a corrective phase. So we have, of course, the primary trend. We have our secondary trend, and this here is the minor trend, right? So primary, secondary, minor. It's Dow theory, right? And so in this minor trend, we're forming this ascending triangle, right? And so the context is we just had the breakdown and the failed throwback. And the throwback, of course, as we remember, is breakout retest. It's a retest. It's the opposite of a term called a pullback or an underside retest, which is just a very simple and very excellent technique for identifying shorts. Here's a very good technique for identifying longs, right? You're buying dips and uptrends. And so we have the throwback in play. We'll get to that. But the throwback comes on the cusp. It comes after, you know, having lost the 50 and failing to hold in the throwback and trading within this range. And a lot of people are looking for like a right shoulder in here somewhere. They're thinking right shoulder here, maybe a little bit higher. And, you know, because most people are recognizing the weakening trend, higher time frame, the price rolling over. And that's the camp I'm in, without necessarily predicting where a right shoulder might be, you know, or if we necessarily even get one. I just know that we're in a corrective phase. And even though we're in a corrective phase and I see the price going much lower, you know, medium term at least, I still will take a trade based on any kind of a well-formed level. So the bear thesis, the kind of a short-term bear thesis, and we'll kind of add these things back. The short-term bear thesis, great comments, folks. I'll get to them in a second. You know, the short-term bear thesis is, of course, we're heading towards the bottom of this range. And that would be one more leg down. But if that's not happening next, right, it will happen. It will definitely happen. But if that's not happening next, what is the price telling us right now in terms of what structure is it giving us? And it's giving us a well-defined horizontal level. It's clear classical charting. Price set a low, set the peak, came back, hit it again, hit it again, hit it again. And really ever since about a month ago, I started talking about this as a breakout level at Bitcoin Live. And I said, even though I think it's going lower, you know, I really think, you know, we're going to want to take a long if we break 94.5. We had a shot here. We formed an evening star, right? Evening star, big candle, Maribozu, small body, either a spinning top or a doji. The difference would be this would be a morning star and this would be a morning doji star, right? Something like that. So we formed the morning star, short-term reversal back, and then we had the minor throwback. So here's another example of what we just had, which is a throwback, a bullish retest right here, where it set the range peak, broke out, held. So the price is attempting to stair step with rising demand. Stair step again, the concept where, right, broken resistance. And I'm going through a lot of stuff here quickly, but a lot of it's review, and I don't always know where everybody's at. I'm trying to speak to everybody. I'm trying to kind of set the table. You got to set the table, right? Put your silverware out, your napkin, your plate, you know, glass of water. Then you can have your meal. So we're attempting another throwback. So we see the concept illustrated here where we had the throwback. Now we're trying to do the same thing. We had the breakout of the ascending triangle. And we're essentially doing a bullish retest of the top of this structure. And that's why I was on the 4-hour. As I said earlier, you drop to, lower time frames when the price is at a key level. And that's kind of, that's what we're seeing here. All right, so we set that table pretty well. So it's pretty clear that, bulls need to hold 94.5 because reacceptance back into this range would be devastating for any kind of a bull push, right? Up to the next major level, which is 99.5K zone. And then really the level that bulls need to recapture to repair the weekly chart and to eliminate any chance of my thesis, which is, 35 to 45K bottom, probably end of the year. It's got to get back over, 107.5. And the reason for that, of course, again, is where the price should have held, it didn't, and reacceptance above that level would suggest continuation. It would be a recapture of the MA50. It would be a recapture of important lost support. And so while we're in this local range, the ascending triangle doing a throwback, if the price fails to hold here, is just really, really bad sign for bulls. Okay, so you're very, very clearly watching here on a throwback. You're watching this retest, okay? Some people took a long in the breakout. Other people are waiting for a throwback. You've got that. You've got some attempted rising demand structure here as well, right? You can draw the line. It's not really about the line. It's about a little bit of rising demand trend. You can kind of watch that as well and see how that plays out. So that's this local, that's dissecting really just a local structure, okay? So that's where we're at on Bitcoin, okay? You don't really need to talk about anything else. There's not more that needs to be said. That really gives you everything you need to know. So let me see the chat room, and then I have a lot of different altcoins I want to talk about and stuff like that. So what's up, Gross? He wants to know, I'll try to go in order. I like to go in order, and I will miss, I miss like comments, of course, because it's just me, and I'm just riffing here. We're just hanging out. Nobody, no moderator or anything. Gross wants to know if Bitcoin breaks to the next level 99.5, what are the odds? Okay, that's an interesting question. So the question is, if Bitcoin breaks the next key level, which is right here, what are the odds of a new all-time high this year? I mean, of course, my just quick back of the napkin, quick guess while I'm doing a stream on a Friday. And again, everybody, thank you for being here and spending your precious time with me. What are the odds of an all-time high if we break here? This year, what are the odds this year? It's a minority for sure, like 30% or something maybe. I just don't see it happening. It's just too much damage to the trend. So I'd say 20 to 30%. If we can break this level, it would come up from like 10%, 5 or 10% to 20 or 30%. That would be an improvement. But it's about 107.5. More so than it is really about the 99.5K range. Okay, what's up, SPX? So you asked nice. Hey, Psalm Capital, good to see you, brother. Roaring Kitty says muted. Can you guys hear me? It looks like everybody can hear me because nobody else is saying that I'm muted. And I see in my streaming software, I see the volume and the soothing sounds of my voice. So look at SPX. I have that on a secondary list because it's just not a great coin in terms of like price structure. It's not something I'm looking for longs. Yeah, this is a terrible chart. Really, really bad chart. Now the question is, what do I think of it? Well, you say, oh, it's a double bottom. I mean, is it? I mean, it's a double test. You're testing two bottoms, but really a double bottom is where you have a bounce to a peak and then you have a potential breakout, right, of that structure. This is bearish consolidation. This is basically a bear rectangle, move down bear rectangle. That's weekly. Let's check in at the daily. Daily, very weak. It's a very, very, very weak chart. What you see here is relative weakness to the rest of the market, okay? Where you have this big V and then the price not even able to reach the peak, okay? This is a dog. This chart is an absolute dog, SPX, okay? I think it's going to go lower. It's going to test here. I really hate the chart. I would not want to have any money in this. I know you want to believe, and that whole thing has just irritated me because I've built a career on helping people. I've built a career on like trying to just, you see if you go to my Twitter page, sorry, I keep calling Twitter, whatever. If you go to pick up my thing, it says helping new traders avoid my old mistakes. right? Helping new traders avoid. It's like, it's just like what I do. That's what I built my career on. And like, the whole thing is there is no chart. Just believe. I mean, that is just a setup to ride something to zero. That is just a setup to just be annihilated financially. I hated that. And I fought with those people. I told them it was a complete dog. And that was up here. It's like a buck 20. This thing sucks. Like, why would you have just, it's a terrible chart. Anybody's telling you there is no chart. That means the chart sucks. Okay. That's my thoughts on that. All right, let's go through and see some more questions, folks. Give me some good questions. Psalm Capital, you want to look at RK, Rocket Labs, okay? I always think of roadblocks, even though it's clearly not roadblocks. Whoa, look at Rocket Labs, okay. And question about Rocket Labs, and then I'm going to do Ethereum. I want to do all the altcoins, but I just wanted to take a couple questions here. First, just to kind of touch base with you and let you know I'm reading the chat and let you know that I want this to be interactive, okay? And just encourage you to ask me questions. So the question about Rocket Labs is, what's up, Psalm? He said, do I consider the OBV starting to diverge here? Okay. So on balance volume is an index indicator. It's not really an oscillator because an oscillator usually goes up and down. That's what it oscillates, moves up and down. It's either centered or, banded, like, RSI's banded oscillator. This is just an index indicator. It's a momentum indicator, and you just really would like to see it, match the trend. It is generally matching the trend here, but the question he's saying is, if we zoom in, and what you don't see, maybe if you had a little bit more green volume, you'd have the OBV like this, exactly matching the trend. There's not that much. It really still is generally matching the trend, though. You can nitpick, but this pretty much, if you visually just look at this, I mean, it kind of just looks like it's matching the trend. So I don't see that there is any information or any alpha Psalm here in the OBV. And hopefully that answers your question. It's a super bullish chart. It's in blue sky breakout. Good luck, knowing exactly where that's going to, stop. All right. But let's get back to the rest of the market. We'll talk about ETH. So it's been weak to Bitcoin here, right? You can see it. It's not even able to break its local peak. This 3450 level is akin to the 94.5 level for Bitcoin in terms of the local range peak. This one's below it. Bitcoin's did this, and now it's doing that. And this one's here. So I don't see much in this. I'm not looking to trade this until if and when it's going to clear 3450. It would be interesting to me for a momentum trade. That'd be a 2-level filter break. I've talked a lot about the 2-level filter break. That's what originally triggered here. I should have mentioned that. On Bitcoin, where you have a descending supply trend, you can draw a trend line. You can really, honestly, if anybody's arguing with you, you can show them this live stream and I'll set them straight. You can draw this trend line any way you want, as long as it captures these peaks generally. It doesn't have to be here. It still shows the same trend. You draw that, and then that's your first level. Second level is the lower high break, horizontal level. So 2-level filter break. And, you essentially would get that here. That's ETH, BTC, and really nothing happening here on daily, just straight up flat. You can see that in like 1H, 4H, just nothing happening. But locally, it's underperforming in that, Ethereum, that is locally underperforming in that it's unable to break above its local range peak. So no 2-level filter breakout, right? On Ethereum, we'll draw the supply trend there. Okay, Cheds, you cut right through that peak. It doesn't matter. Like you're doing this wrong. If you see this and you don't get it, you're doing it wrong, right? Here's your lower high break. So that's your 2-level filter break. Needs 3450 straight up. Okay, we're gonna go down the line. Solana tried to break out, got sent back. Unfortunate because it was building a nice push. It's got to hold It's got to hold here right around 135. You'd like to see that hold for some rising demand. You see the price initially paused after consolidation. It held here. You've got EMA 8 support as well, but you really clearly can just see it visually, and you don't always need to draw a box. You can just see, support turned into resistance, and you can see it's got to clear there. Okay. I'm going to talk about a couple of coins that I find interesting, and then I'm going to get back to the chat room. Let's go to like Dash. And I had a couple tweets out. I put out a tweet about Dash last night. Where is it? How's everybody doing? So here we go. This is a pre-breakout look. I saw this. I was like, whoa, that's super clean. This is a bullish pre-breakout. Okay. And then let's go to the 4H. I mean, this thing is just ridiculous. So you've got a beautiful break. This is what you want to see for a sense of a continued move, right? If you see any kind of a bounce like this without volume after this, it's probably just a minor move. It's probably going to get rejected and sent back. But anyway, we're looking at the 4H. And it was right here, pre-breakout. We got the breakout, and now again, a throwback. So this is 4H. This is local. 4 hours, a good trading time frame. I really, really like it. So you want to see it hold here. This is strong. This looks like it's going higher. So I like the dash chart. The dash chart is incredibly strong. I don't, people, it's funny when I put out a tweet, I put out a tweet about, this is running. And people ask, oh, why? It's like, I honestly don't care why. The whole thing about like why things are bouncing is just so uninteresting to me. Like, do I want to know why something's bouncing, or because it could be a million reasons? You can debate that till next year, or you can just say, what does it mean in terms of price structure, right? So it's a beautiful grind higher. Looks like it wants to continue. Get a little bit of a bear fake out here. Big body. Kind of a tweezer top, or just at least just like a pausing indecision candle in continuation. So Dash is super strong. Also, Monero's been pretty darn strong. This is a bullish consolidation as well. It's a pretty big upper wick though, so maybe kind of chill out for a bit. Maybe it does need to consolidate. Maybe it drops back to around 600, 615. Pretty good upper tail. You can use the word tail. You can use the word shadow. You can use the word wick. These things all, it's the same concept. Pretty good upper tail here, but the price was agreeably, or obviously rather, quite overextended. Entire candle above the upper Bollinger Band, which is kind of crazy. So we're pushing back. Where might it settle? What's it doing? Let's go to the 4 hour. So what I don't necessarily like on the 4 hour is this counter trend volume. This is called a dark cloud cover. This candle here. And I love these candle patterns. It closed below the midpoint of the prior green candle. That makes this a dark cloud cover. And then look at these another upper shadow. So I think this is going to consolidate a little bit lower, and maybe it makes it all the way back to the high fives. So I think this is going to cool off a little bit, and then you will look for it to continue. Okay, right? It just got way too high, too fast. I think this is going to consolidate just a little bit and drop back to this range. But overall, the chart's quite interesting. Hype, no good. It had the hype. It had the mojo. It had the juice. But I mean, this is even weaker than like Ethereum. Look at this thing. I mean, it should be up here. If it was Bitcoin, it'd be throwing back, right? And you don't always need, it's the thing about, and I have a video on this, of course. I have a video on everything. But I have a video on it's a recent one too. I think I just published it. Let's pull it up with date, published, newest. And the idea is thoughts on BTC pairs, and why there's no point, because you already know, we already know what Bitcoin's doing. We already know that Bitcoin, Bitcoin has the ascending triangle, and it broke out and it's throwing back. And it's like, so if you know that, this is weaker than Bitcoin. I don't need a hype BTC pair, right? Does that make sense, folks? So let's jump back to the chat. There's more stuff I want to look at, but I want to I'm here for you. I'm here for you, folks. Okay, Matej, what's up? Good to see you, brother. If we go under 94K, which essentially, when you say 94K, it means 94, 94.5 zone. Remember, a price zone. There's not like a static number. You can say this is a zone, right? And then you have a filter around it, right? So say this exact line is 94.5, just as a reminder. And I'll get to your question, but there's a filter, right, around it. So 94 is part of 94.5 zone. And by the way, hit like, subscribe, whatever, all that good stuff. Oh, I didn't mention, and I'll get to your question. I just did an interview. I was interviewed by Mr. Dale Pinkert. He's like a super vet, been around forever. Forex stop hunter. Okay, check him out. He's super active. A lot of great content. He's more of a FinTwit, like a traditional guy. He's heavy into Forex. I know he does commodities and stuff. But we had a nice little interview. We'd been setting that up for a while, and it's pinned, on my profile. Check that out. So the question is, if we go lower than 94K, are we going lower than? Okay, now here we go. The question is, if we close below 94K, is it a good place for shorting? Well, why close, Matej, right? You're talking about something called confirmation method, right? And if you go to the encyclopedia and you go to, most popular, right? Confirmation is the most popular video. How do I confirm a breakout or breakdown? That's up to you. Like some people are trading just all day. They're watching the chart like me. Like I'm not waiting for a close, man. I just play the price action, right? So you say if your methodology is waiting for a close and you say it's 94K and that's sure. Is that shorting? Yeah, sure. You could short, but what's your stop loss, Matej? Let me know your stop loss and I'm happy to answer your question. So, but could be daily close, could be 1 hour close, could be 2 4-hour closes. Really, it could be a certain price distance. It could be all those things. And so that's really based on you and your trading style and methodology. There is no answer, like 100% answer of what a confirmed thing is. We talked about Dash. Let's see. Last question for me. Thoughts? So SPX wants to know thoughts on a shallower bear market. Yeah, I'm forecasting a shallower bear market, which is why I only forecasted Bitcoin to drop between 35 and 45K, which is a few percentage points less than prior drops, peak to trough, right? Let's see if this works out. Maybe I'm crazy. So yeah, we did whatever. Like this is just quickly rough, 76%. And I'm forecasting, 35, 45K, which actually would be, unless I get it wrong. Yeah, it's a little bit shallower, right? So this, right, that's shallower. Here's 76. It's only 70%. And that's the bottom of my range. I think the price will bottom between 45 and 35, when it's all said and done. And I think it will come from some type of a sweep, like a sweep and the recapture of this structure here, right? Kind of lining up with these highs, but the lows here from this initial bull flag, pardon me. So I am forecasting a slightly shallower bear market, absolutely, but not like just a little bit, right? I mean, it's going to do what it needs to do before it continues, and it will continue, and it will make a new high. It just needs some more time. Oh, what's up, Venerian? You want to know about the right time to enter BCH. Now, BCH has been really strong. It's been a relative strength player. The problem with it is it's been choppy, right? When you have a level established and you break it, you'd like to see it kind of do this, but here's what BCH is doing. Okay, here's your level. Now it's kind of doing this. It's like chopping through the level, but then continuing. And then here's your new level. And then it's like doing this. So it's like a choppy, grinding higher type of chart. So you have to go to a higher time frame. You can't really go it's really hard to set your levels on this, right? I remember Matic was like this back in the day when it was grinding higher. What's the right time to enter BCH? I mean, a test of this low would be nice. We're here in the weekly. Let's go to the daily. Test of this structure generally kind of right here, with this rising demand trend. So we're kind of testing in this general area. It should hold if the trend continues. It's been a nice little grind higher. I don't love the false breakout though. So maybe some caution is required. And maybe because of that, I'd actually maybe rather wait for a recapture or a deeper drop and look for some value. I'd be very careful playing in here just because it's a choppy chart, Venerian. AMP says Cheds is the truth. I am my truth, brother. I'm not the best trader by far. I think I'm the best. I think I'm one of the best academic analysts. Like I can read the chart as good as anybody, but I'm not the best trader. I'm just trying to teach you what I know, and I'm hoping it's of value. Okay, Venerian, that was your question. Don't worry about multiple questions. I covered hype chocolate. How do I see sentiment, says Martwan. That's an interesting question. I think sentiment is actually pretty good. Part of it is we've had a nice little breakout in Bitcoin. The break of 94.5 helped with sentiment. There's been some weird stuff with the algorithm, and they're fixing the algo. I'm starting to see like some of my friends like on my timeline again. I'm starting to see like, what I want to see, like a more of a curated. It just feels a little bit better. So I don't know that there is alpha maybe in sentiment. Like if you're going to use sentiment for alpha, you'd want like a real extreme, like a really extreme high, or like a really extreme low. And I don't think we necessarily have either of those right now, but that was a great question. What's up? Good morning to you. Wiz says, good morning. Thanks for vibing out. Thank you for hanging, brother. Oh, yeah. Let's look at ICP. I want to look at Pump. There's a couple more. I also missed Bitcoin Live, the Pump. I tweeted at it. I totally forgot to include it. That was my goof. So for any members watching, I do apologize. I like Pump right now. I think it's grinding higher. I like how it broke out of this base. It did a throwback. It's got the rising demand. Kind of want to see it hold here, 0026 level. You see I've drawn the box. Kind of a bullish coil grinding higher. We'll go to the daily chart. So I actually kind of like Pump. I mean, look at this volume. This is accumulation. And it is, for all intents and purposes, preparing for a major breakout here, which would be back up above the early December peak. You can take a long if you want to wait for this, and it's fine. A lot of people like to wait for a major break. Pardon me. A lot of people like to wait for a major break rather than kind of messing around here, but you break that level, you have a pretty good shot to get maybe all the way up to here. So keep an eye on that. I do like Pump. It's worth watching. Stop loss Matej said 95.5 if you're 94K short. That's reasonable. That's reasonable. Remember, any kind of trade idea, you want a 3-to-1 risk to reward. So if you're short at 94 and your stop loss is like 95.5, that's 1,500, which means you need at least 4,500, which means you want the price. You think the price can go to 89.5. Here's the problem, though. You've got support at 90.5. So you're actually not, Matej, you're not getting enough asymmetric risk to reward. You probably would need to have a tighter stop loss, maybe like 95K, right? And then you'd have then it'd be 3K, and then 91K would be your 3-to-1. So you got to calculate and make sure you're 3-to-1 risk to reward, Matej. ICP, yeah. I have ICP over here in the other playlist. Let's take a look. Great question from Tomek. We'll look at that in a second. Yeah, ICP is interesting just because of this volume here, this big breakout there, breakout there. Let's go to the 4-hour, though. What are we doing? Is it a bull flag or is it just a falling channel? It looks pretty good. There's not a lot of counter trend volume. I like how there's light. When you're kind of judging, well, I like to say the texture a lot. Maybe I'm trying to sound fancy. I'm probably too fancy, but I like to say the texture of this consolidation. You look at the volume. You don't have a lot of counter trend volume. The immediate trend, right, is the bull trend. And so you look at these red candles, not a lot, which is good. So this gives it a pretty good chance to continue still. Kind of zoom out. Now I want to look at the daily level. So this one is somewhat interesting. Let me look at your question, though. What do we see? Have you looked at ICP today? I'm curious for continuation play. Exactly, after cooling down. It's probably going to cool down a little bit. What I would do is maybe visually, you can draw the fib visually, but you can kind of look at like 50% would be right around here and see what it does. See, I don't always draw a fib because I kind of just eyeball it, but just somewhere in there. And that lines up here as well. So as it approaches around 380, 85, that's where it would make sense. Nice cool off and then continuation. Horizon Zen, was it an obvious long at 10? Okay, I don't know that I've looked at this one in a minute. I'm pretty sure I have not. So we'll add this back to this list. All right. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Yeah, it was a pretty good long here. Yeah, on this break. At 10, maybe 10.50 more so, Venarian. Right here. So yeah, it's a pretty clean break because you can call it an inverted head and shoulders if you want. Right? It doesn't matter what you call it. It's just a nice horizontal level after a move down. Again, 2-level filter, right? And then the volume was very interesting. This showed you accumulation. So it could have been on your radar. And I'm sorry I missed it. I didn't tweet it. I wasn't watching this. But this is just a nice construction. And you have a good chance to continue with this type of volume and volume in the breakout. So it was a pretty, I wouldn't say obvious, but it was a pretty easy long. Absolutely. All right, Tomac, at what point do you decide whether it's a breakout and retest or liquidity run? It just holds or not. I don't decide. I mean, the price will decide for me. So, and again, this will depend on my confirmation method, but breakout. So to have a breakout, you have to have a level. And so you form the level with multiple things. You have time in between them. You have a peak to trough, what's called price distance. So it's a well-formed level. So we've got our level. And at what point do I decide if it's a breakout and retest or liquidity run? Either holds or not. I don't, it just either holds or not at the level where I'm defining my risk. And like Matej, I believe earlier, was talking about, 94.5 in Bitcoin. Like it either holds there or it doesn't. So, you don't need to decide if it's a liquidity run. It either holds your stop loss or it doesn't, right? And that's based on your confirmation level. That's based on the price level. You don't need to go any like further than that. Let's look at FCX. Sure. Somebody requested FCX. That's a metals play. I'm familiar with that. Freeport. I've traded some options in that one in the past. Yeah. Whoa. That's a beautiful EMA8 climb. Right? Primary uptrend support. Just beautiful. Let's go to the weekly. All right. Look at that. FCX looks really, really, really good. Now, you have potential here for kind of an island top or an abandoned baby where you have a gap up. But we shall see. You don't necessarily want to bet against a trend, especially in equities markets. You can do this. You can gap up again with a small body, and you keep thinking you're gonna fail. We shall see. If we get kind of a red stick, you close a little bit lower, then I'd kind of watch and say, okay, maybe a retest here. But I mean, it just looks really, it's weekly. It looks really good, and you see it's done that. EMA8 hold, EMA8 hold. So it's doing the latest in a series of advance, EMA8 hold, advance, EMA8 hold, right? Beautiful, beautiful chart. Yeah, it looks pretty tasty, doesn't it? A good entry for Bitcoin Cash. I've already covered that, but we'll look at it again. So I talked about the fact how it's been choppy, right, on Bitcoin Cash, and there it is. So I literally just covered this. I'd probably want a deep drop, maybe slide it up here to be a little bit more ambitious. I'll look for a key pivot here. Principle of polarity, maybe right around there actually. Around 520 range or a clear break. I want to see it recapture these highs or maybe a discount buy. I'm not going to mess around in here. I'm a value buyer. I want to buy things at a discount. You're welcome. Thanks for looking at ICP. You're welcome. Can I take a look at MicroStrategy? Sure. Let's look at the ye old MSTR. I mean, I've been warning about MicroStrategy from way, way, way higher, but it's I started warning about it up here, which is essentially akin to when to losing the MA50, like along with Bitcoin. It's just weaker than Bitcoin. All right, what do we think? Yeah, I still don't like it. I just don't think you should be messing with this yet. I really think you need to see recapture. And there's a lot of ways to play quote unquote bottoms. A lot of people, that's not what I was trying to do. A lot of people will just buy an attempt at a double test of a double bottom type of thing. But I just wait for the break because you can do that. And then all of a sudden now it's a descending triangle. It's rolling down. And now you're buying here. You're averaging down. When if you just wait for a break, you can ride the trend. Just make life easier on yourself and ride a trend, and rather than guessing when it's going to turn around. This one's got to do a lot more before I would even think about putting any type of a long exposure. Does CHZ? That's crypto. That's Chiliz, chili cheeses, something. Chiz. Here we go. Cheds. Maybe it's a Cheds coin, right? Oh, look at that. Do we have this on like Binance or Coinbase? Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's do that. I'm going to add that back to this list. CHZUSD. Let's take a little look. Okay. What do we think? So there's some mojo. That's interesting. And there you go. There's your long. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Look at this recapture. That's a major, major, major recapture. You can see it on the weekly chart a lot better. I mean, that's a major recapture. That's an easy long trade there. So your risk is defined based on the price continuing to hold that level. So that's interesting. Now, not arguably, but in my view, obviously I'd want to see a little bit more volume here on this breakout. But that is just a really, 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 really profound recapture for momentum. So that's good for bulls. So let's see here. So you just want to watch. Maybe it's got to chill out, but that's a nice move. If you Pardon me if you took a long. You're just, again, managing your risk based on that level. All right. So we've covered Bitcoin. I talked about the price dropping and then a little bit of a lower time frame mojo here. I talked about the trend, okay? So again, primary, secondary, and this is the minor trend here. And the minor trend is the ascending triangle breakout. And for any semblance, any chance, not semblance, any reasonable hope, any reasonable chance for opportunity of continuation, it's got to hold here on the 94.5 throwback. We're doing a bullish retest. We had one on the minor break at 90.5. You can also watch that level should this level fail, but like bulls need to hold here at 94.5 because it's the overhang, the bearish overhang is the momentum of the loss of the weekly 50 and the inability to hold the 107.5K zone. So for the time being, I'll stream. I'll try to stream next week. It may not happen. But if I don't, it will be the week after. You can always you can always reach me like on Twitter. You just shoot me a message. Hey, what's up? Maybe I'll read it. Maybe I won't. You can always, obviously, Bitcoin Live. I'm there all the time, twice a week, and I respond to the messages. But I can try to update you there. But it's just gonna hold 94.5 or not. And if it doesn't, you're going to shift up and watch the next major level above, which is 99.5 to 100K zone. And again, even though you have an ascending triangle with a measured move much higher, you should not overlook the obstacle above. And I have a video specifically on measured move with obstacle in here. I think it's pretty high up in the ranking of like most watched videos, but it's in here anyway somewhere. There you go, measured move with obstacle. And so you just want to keep an eye on the concept of when you're drawing your price target, you don't want to overlook major congestion zones. You don't want to overlook like major levels. What's up, Mark Tong? Good to see you, brother. So those are my thoughts on Bitcoin. Again, Ethereum, not 34.50. I'm just waiting. I'm not going to do anything until it clears that. So I hope everybody's like had a great week. I hope everybody's like having a good start to the year. It's cold where I am. Hopefully it is warm where you are, warm in your heart. You're having a good time. Big surprise, but we're going to dance here. We're going to dance to the Church of Eight Wheels. Oh, yeah. What's up? I didn't do metals. I'll do metals real quick. So let's take a look at silver. I did think silver was going to top out here, and I was completely wrong. So there's quite a bit more strength than, I had initially thought. And I've already covered, Ben, I covered SOL, by the way. In your question, Mr. Ben, is it reasonable? I'll look back to silver in just a second because I'm bouncing around here. Is it reasonable to think it tries 145 again now? Yeah, sure. Just don't anticipate, observe. If it can, try, and if it clears it, you can take along. So silver's stronger than I had anticipated, and so I'm almost, it's one of those things where maybe questioning what I thought was a pretty good gut instinct on this being a topping candle. So it's grinding higher. It's holding EMA 8. We'll essentially observe here in the daily, this isn't futures, this is spot right now, that we have not had a close below the EMA 8 in quite a while. So you can kind of watch that for a sign of weakening momentum. In the meantime, it's still pretty hard to bet against the trend. I mean, you have the evening star, but lower Bollinger dip. I mean, these have been rewarded, right? 4H, this has been rewarded. So has been a buying opportunity, as the prices continued. Well, you can kind of watch that for a sign of weakening trend. I just think it's hard to bet against the trend. All right, there's silver, gold. I mean, they both look really good. I still be really interested in gold back here if we get a shot. So I covered the important levels to watch. I've hopefully given you some confidence in your and how you're approaching the market. Hopefully I've taught you something. I've taught you some technique. You really should dive into the trading encyclopedia. This is my playlist on my YouTube at Cheds Trading. If you're looking for somewhere to trade, definitely check out BingX. I have a great relationship with them. I've worked with them for like 6 or 7 years. And they're a wonderful exchange. They're fully integrated, on all the major sites, and they're one of the top exchanges. They also, by the way, just had like a new partnership with an F1 racing team, which is really cool. So they're really good. So check out BingX, check out Bitcoin Live. I'm a founding analyst. I've been there for 8 years. Wonderful team. Really proud of the work we do there. And but you can also just soak up everything I have, all the free stuff, all my tweets, ask me questions, check out all the videos, the interviews. I didn't even mention it. I'm out here like It's funny. People accuse me of like just pushing my books. I haven't even mentioned that I've published 4 books. You know, because they're free. I make them free. I mean, I've done well in the book, especially Trading Wisdom has sold 15,000 copies. But I make them free on my YouTube. So yeah, I literally published a book last year, Trading Journal. I haven't even mentioned it till now. It's funny because I like to just talk. And so, Trading Journal, that's free in the Trading Encyclopedia. So is all these other books. Enjoy my stuff. Send me your feedback. I hope everybody's doing well. And now we are going to dance and we'll have some fun. So let's dance to the Church of Eight Wheels and let's do this. 1 second. I already covered that, Renat. That's Duman. That's the concept of confirmation. Like, what confirms a breakout? You're asking me, what does it mean? You consider a level broken or a test successful? Go to my YouTube channel, go to the Trading Encyclopedia, and watch the confirmation video. Okay, that's going to explain. That's your question of like, when's a level broken? Is it successful? Watch the confirmation. You have to decide your confirmation level. Okay, let's get back to dancing. Sorry.